After the Saiyan saga, we got used to seeing Vegeta always one step behind, chasing Kakarot. But a sequence of events in the Super manga turned this logic upside down. The truth is, there was a point when the word rival practically became a joke because Vegeta became hundreds of times stronger than Goku. So stick with me until the end of the video so you can understand all about it. What's up everyone? How's it going? Welcome back to Dragon Dao. What I just said might sound like clickbait or some crazy fan theory, but it's not. It's simply one of the biggest power inconsistencies in the entire history of Dragon Ball. So without further ado, let's take a look at how this happened. After Trunks eliminated the androids in the future, the world had peace for many years. Trunks trained with Shin and Kibito and managed to prevent the awakening of Majin Buu by defeating Babidi and Dabura. But this victory came at a terrible cost. In that fight, Shin from his timeline ended up dying, and with that, Beerus from that timeline died too. And without a god of destruction, the door was left open for a new kind of evil, Goku Black. For a year, Trunks fought bravely against him, but it was useless. The situation reached its most tragic point when Bulma was murdered. After that, Trunks tried to escape with Mai to the past, but Black found them. Trunks tried to fight again, but the power gap was just too great. But by using distractions, Trunks eventually managed to get into the time machine and escaped. Upon arriving in the past, Trunks explains the whole situation to them. Wanting to get a sense of Black's power level, Goku challenged Trunks to a brief sparring match. Trunks transforms straight into Super Saiyan 2. Goku is impressed by how much Trunks has improved and transforms into Super Saiyan 2 as well. Then, the two begin a balanced fight. In fact, Wiz even comments that Trunks seemed to have a slight edge. Then Goku decides to show a little more and transforms into Super Saiyan 3. Trunks is surprised by that transformation, but says he never thought that was his limit, and responds to Goku's power by powering up his Super Saiyan 2 even further. At this, Vegeta is shocked and says, with absolutely no room for doubt, that Trunks' Super Saiyan 2 is almost as strong as Goku's Super Saiyan 3. To make things easier in this video, I'm going to call this form Enhanced Super Saiyan 2, and keep that statement from Vegeta about his power in mind. After that, Trunks attacks, but Goku ends the fight by quickly switching to Super Saiyan God. Goku asks Trunks if he's alright, and praises him again for increasing his power so much. However, Trunks says that even with that, he stood absolutely no chance against Black. Then Goku says he thought it would be an easy win, but it looks like things are going to get complicated. Everything seems normal so far, right? Well, let's fast forward to when they travel to the future to face Black. Upon arriving in the devastated future, it doesn't take long for them to find Black. Vegeta takes the lead and transforms into Super Saiyan 2. Not Super Saiyan God, not Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan 2. Black initially managed to defend against Vegeta's attacks even while he was still in his base form. But as Vegeta began to pressure him, he transformed into a Super Saiyan. And a technical detail, despite having some sparks in his aura, which usually indicates Super Saiyan 2, every time this form of Black is mentioned, they simply call it Super Saiyan, not Super Saiyan 2. I know it was Goku who gave that transformation its name, but even he called Black's form just Super Saiyan. Plus, since it's Goku's body, we know his hair changes slightly from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2. Anyway, since Black transformed into a Super Saiyan, you'd think that from that moment on, things would go his way, right? But that's not what happened. Vegeta in Super Saiyan 2 was still superior to him. The fight was somewhat competitive, but Vegeta still had a clear advantage. Vegeta recognized that Black is powerful, and Black is surprised by Vegeta's power. End of round 1. Seems like a normal Dragon Ball fight, right? But it wasn't. Did you notice the problem? The problem is that the Super manga accidentally made Vegeta hundreds of times stronger than Goku. Yep, think about the absurdity of what you just witnessed. Base Black was stronger than Trunks' Enhanced Super Saiyan 2. Trunks' Enhanced Super Saiyan 2 was almost equal to Goku's Super Saiyan 3. Therefore, Base Black was stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Except Vegeta, in Super Saiyan 2, was stronger than Black. Not just Base Black, but also Black transformed into a Super Saiyan, which is a 50-fold increase from his base. Let's apply the official multipliers to visualize the scale of this absurdity. Let's consider Goku's base power as 1. Therefore, Super Saiyan 3 Goku is worth 400. Trunks' Enhanced Super Saiyan 2 was almost as powerful as this Super Saiyan 3 Goku, so Trunks' power was very close to those 400. Base Black was clearly superior to Trunks. Surely the gap between Base Black and Trunks was wider than the one between Super Saiyan 3, Goku, and Trunks, given that Goku preferred to switch to his God form to end that fight quickly without any trouble. But to be extremely conservative, let's say base Black was also 400. If his base form was 400, applying the 50 times Super Saiyan multiplier would bring his power up to 20,000. Vegeta was stronger than him. But being conservative again, let's say Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 was also at 20,000. So to figure out Vegeta's base power, we just need to divide 20,000 by 100, which is the Super Saiyan 2 multiplier, and that gives us 200. So following the comparisons presented by the manga and applying the franchise's official multipliers, base Vegeta at this point in the story was at least 200 times stronger than base Goku. At the beginning of the saga, Goku said Vegeta had gotten stronger. Who would have thought stronger meant becoming at least 200 times stronger than him? Great writing, Toyotaro. Now, seriously, I'm teasing Toyotaro here, but one thing is a fact. Neither he nor Toriyama were obligated to draw the story keeping official guide numbers in mind. They didn't have to be bound by some external math that imposed rules they were forced to follow. In fact, when we take a closer look at the manga, we realize that Toriyama didn't care about these official numbers at all. But there's a huge difference between ignoring official numbers and violating the foundation of your own story. And I believe that's what Toyotaro did here, even without realizing it. Even if you consider that the transformation multipliers are much lower, by the logic of the events, Vegeta would still be way more than twice as strong as Goku. And we know that in Dragon Ball, a difference of less than 2 times is already enough for one character to completely humiliate another. And I don't think anyone in their right mind believes base Vegeta would do that to base Goku, or that base Goku would do that to base Vegeta. So in this case, what causes the problem isn't the official numbers, but the broken writing itself. And since I've already discussed this so many times, I know some people try to fix this screw up with a few explanations. So I'm going to dedicate this part of the video to showing that none of them solve the problem. Maybe you think Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 was also an enhanced Super Saiyan 2 because of that moment when he managed to land hits on Beerus, while Super Saiyan 3 Goku couldn't. I don't think it was, because that was a very specific case triggered by a rage boost. If he could always make his Super Saiyan 2 as strong as Goku's Super Saiyan 3, Vegeta wouldn't have reacted with that exact same level of shock when he saw Trunks pull it off. But even if you do think it was, it's still absurd. Let's say Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 had a 1,000 times multiplier. That's more than twice the multiplier of Super Saiyan 3, so I think I'm being fair here. Now divide Vegeta's 20,000 by 1,000. That would give you 20. In other words, even if Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 multiplier were 1,000 times instead of the standard 100 times, the manga would still have made Vegeta at least 20 times stronger than Goku at that moment. They say Trunks got a massive Zenkai after recovering by eating a Senzu bean when he arrived from the future. And because of that, the Trunks who fought Goku was much stronger than the Trunks who had been fighting Black. But I think it's highly unlikely that a Zenkai happened, for countless other reasons that don't fit into this video. And if the author wanted it to be interpreted that way, he should have made it clear in the story, which he didn't. But even if Trunks had gotten a Zenkai, it wouldn't change the narrative surrounding Black's power at all. Whether Trunks got a Zenkai or not, the assessment was based on the level Trunks displayed against Goku. When Goku praised his power, Trunks said that even with that, he was nothing compared to Black. And that was precisely why Goku said things wouldn't be so easy. On top of that, to prove that a Zenkai doesn't fix this mess, Trunks himself says he hadn't seen Black's Super Saiyan form in a long time, and that Super Saiyan Black, who was getting beaten by Vegeta, was even stronger than before. In other words, this information makes the gap between Goku and Vegeta even wider. They say that the Trunks who fought Black was weakened and starving because of the food shortage in the future. But even if that might have been true during his later fights, it wasn't true at the beginning of their encounters when Black first appeared. The future came from a period of peace after Trunks defeated the androids, so initially, Trunks wasn't facing those scarce resource conditions. Plus, Trunks awakened Super Saiyan 2 during his fight against Babidi and Debura, so if he managed to enhance the transformation over the course of that year he spent fighting Black, it's very unlikely that he was starving for most of that time. The God Ki excuse always comes up too, with people saying Vegeta was using God Ki in his Super Saiyan 2, while Goku wasn't using God Ki in his Super Saiyan 3. But fans confusing God Ki isn't their fault. It's due to the absolute mess that is Dragon Ball Super across all its media. The Super manga consciously chose a different path from the movie and the anime. In the manga, the fight against Beerus ended differently. Goku never absorbed the power of Super Saiyan God into his base form. The manga treats God Ki as a resource accessed by transforming into divine states, not as something that mixes with other forms to give them a massive power boost. And if you're wondering about this manga panel right here, which shows base Goku using the power of the God form, Just know that this panel isn't from the Super manga, but from a promotional manga Toyotaro drew specifically for the Resurrection F movie. In other words, it was just a teaser for the movie's concept. It's not a concept from the Super manga. The movie has already been retconned by the anime, the manga, and now it will be again by the new Super anime. So if the movie is no longer canon, that promotional manga is even less so. It's just like that line from Wiz in the movie where he says Beerus used 70% of his power against Super Saiyan God Goku. Others say Super Saiyan 3 Goku wasn't using his full power, which is why he and Trunks seemed evenly matched. But that's a mistake. First, because the simple fact that Goku switched to Super Saiyan God to end the fight without any trouble proves their powers were balanced. Otherwise, he could have just powered up his Super Saiyan 3. Besides, if we aren't supposed to understand that their powers were balanced, why did the author construct the scene the way he did? If the author didn't want to indicate they had similar power levels, he wouldn't compare Trunks to Goku. He wouldn't have Vegeta say that. He would create a scene where Vegeta just says Trunks increased his power even further, that Trunks got even stronger, without linking him to Goku's power. He didn't have the character literally say they had practically the same power, just for us to conclude the exact opposite of what was said. They also say Trunks' Super Saiyan 2 was on par with Goku's Super Saiyan 3 because Trunks' base power was higher, not because Trunks had enhanced the power of the transformation. But that's wrong. First, because Dragon Ball has a track record of showing that transformations themselves can be improved. And second, the author made sure to emphasize the transformation itself, because Trunks says he never thought that was his limit. It wouldn't be breaking any limits if that power was just a consequence of Trunks being stronger in his base form. So, combined with Vegeta's line, Trunks' words make it clear that it was the power of the transformation itself that was enhanced. Another excuse they use is that between Goku's fight with Trunks and Vegeta's fight with Black, Vegeta trained, and that's why Vegeta became so much stronger. But Vegeta only trained for one morning in the gravity room with Trunks. Vegeta has been used to this type of training since the Android saga. This wasn't a new kind of training that would cause him to break his limits. So, if this brief morning training made any minimal difference for anyone, it wasn't for Vegeta, but for Trunks, who might not have gone through that type of training before. In fact, the training was specifically to help Trunks, who wanted to go to the future with them to fight for his world. But now I want to know from you, what do you think about all this? Had you noticed this strange inconsistency in the manga? Leave your thoughts below in the comments. If this video was interesting to you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to keep following discussions like this one. And here on the screen, 2 more videos will appear that I'm sure you'll enjoy. See you in the next video, right here on Dragon Dao.